Hey guys, what's up? A lot of my viewers have been telling me that I should start YouTubing and I should get a Facebook page up and a Twitter page up. I like interacting with my viewers a lot. And I kind of came to the conclusion that I should get off my fat ass and start actually doing something. So, this is going to be my first YouTube pretty much video I've published and, or fuck, published, just put out. And I've been playing this game recently a whole bunch called Path of Exiles, and that's pretty much what this video is going to go into. I plan on producing maybe like hopefully a video every 3 days because I want to kind of like start it and then peak and peak and peak, and it just keeps on going essentially. So on this first video, what I want to go into is kind of like the basics. Now I'm sure everyone has already done these already, but I figure I need to start somewhere. So I'm going to give you guys a detailed explanation of the currency of Path of Exiles. Now, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to what the currency looks like. And this whole stash tab I have right here is pretty much simply only currency. Now, there's additional currencies in game that I don't have all of them. I spent them because this is the last day of beta, but I just wanted to give you guys a rundown of it. So, anyway, we're going to start off with the most basic types of currency. Now, in Path of Exile, basically, there's no gold as your currency. It's actually like items, but they're not items you would think like a potion or something, because that doesn't exist here. It's more of like an item you use to upgrade a piece of gear has a set amount of value. So gear itself is its own different type of class, but then you have the items that upgrade gear, or enhance gear in some type of aspect. Now, what I mean by that is the following. You have Scrolls of Wisdom, which are your basic identification scrolls. Now, these really aren't worth anything, I'm going to tell you right now. Obviously, to you they're worth something because they identify your gear, but in actual player trading, they're not really worth anything. So there are conversions you can do and whatnot, which I'll go in other videos with how to convert what on into X and Y and etc. and etc. But for now, I'm just going to go over a basic synopsis or basic of this. So then we have Portal Scrolls, which is pretty much the next thing right below it or right above it, wherever you'd like to categorize it. It's pretty much useless yet again, but to you, it's not useless like I've said before. So then we're going to go into things that actually mean something. Now, this is kind of like a tier I have, but it's not in the correct order. It's just I'll kind of go I'll go more over it. But then we get into armor scrapping and whetstoning, which now your things are kind of becoming useful. So I'm going to pull them out here, and I can show you guys examples. So I'll pull out a piece of gear here, and let's pull out a weapon. So here, pull this out. Now, on gear you have base stats, so if you look at the armor here, the base stat on the armor, it says armor is 136. And the base damage on a weapon, if you look at this unique weapon, or legendary, whatever you guys classify it, it is 50 to 73. So we're going to use a whetstone and we're going to enhance it. And obviously it will only enhance the base damage of it. It will not enhance any other attributes on it to my knowledge. I've tested hundreds of items and it's never changed it. Same thing with armor. If it has armor, it'll increase armor. If it's hybrid with armor and evasion, it'll do that, etc. It'll always increase the base stats of it. So as an armor one will do it as well. Now, to my knowledge, whites give 4, blues give 3 to 2, and rares give 1%. I could be wrong on the exact numbers, but that's generally how it goes. But these are pretty easy to find once again. They're not like anything rare, anything special, but they're definitely used to enhance your gear. Like all your gear endgame should have like 20% quality on everything, which really isn't too much of a hassle to get. So then we're going to go into the next type. And the next type is kind of when things start becoming cool. So these are called Orbs of Augmentation. Now, an Orb of Augmentation does something really cool because it goes hand in hand with an Orb of Transmutation. So an Orb of Augmentation says, enchants a magic item with a new property. And Transmutations upgrades a normal item to a magic item. A normal item would be an item classified as a white. So we're going to pull out a white right here. Now, one other thing I want to explain to you guys now is generally when you're trading in these low tiers, like whetstones, armor scraps, augmentations, etc., alterations, you trade in stacks of like 20 or 15. You trade in really high amounts because they don't have much of a value by themselves. Generally when people are buying these, they're constantly re-rolling gear, so they don't want to buy one, they want to buy in bulk. So, for example, what this will do is it'll upgrade it from a white to a blue. And then with an augmentation, you can add another stat on. Now, You can only add one stat on with an augmentation. If an item is rolled with two stats automatically, because you get lucky with a transmutation, you cannot roll another stat onto it with an augmentation. Blues can only have up to 2 additional stats on them. Now when it goes to a yellow, you can have up to 6 stats combined in total. So we're going to move to the next type now. An Orb of Chance. Let's see if I can get lucky for you guys, and I'll show you the full value of an Orb of Chance. So let's go ahead and let's buy this, and we'll buy this. We'll buy this, and we'll test our luck. So, an Orb of Chance does some really cool stuff. Now, it upgrades a normal item to a random property. Now, or random rarity, I apologize. Now, the thing about this that some people don't know is random rarity is including unique. Now, not everything can be turned into a unique. It has to fall into the category, meaning if you get a ring and you, okay, say you get, I don't know, like, basically you have to have, okay, perfect example. If you're using a level 10 mace and there's a unique that has a set level requirement to roll on, like it's made for endgame, there's no way you can roll that mace into the endgame mace. To my knowledge, I've never gotten it, I've never heard of it. So to my knowledge, it's not going to happen. It has to be within its level restriction. So I'm going to go ahead and try to upgrade. Now this rolled into a blue. As you can see, there's 2 stats on it, just like I said. This rolled into a yellow. Okay, thank God I got a rare. Now, that's the other cool thing about Chance Orbs. You could go straight from a white to a yellow with it, which I think it's phenomenal. Now, these are really good for when you run maps at endgame. If you have an abundance of Chance Orbs, rather than turning it to a blue, you can simply, just chance it if you have an abundance of them, and you have a chance of going straight to yellow, which saves you currency later on. The next one that's really, really common, and this is when trading kind of becomes this is kind of when people start wanting the items, would be Orbs of Alteration. And their purpose is reforging just completely reforging it. So if you have a piece of gear that you don't like the stats on it, so for example, say I'm disappointed with, let's chance another one, with I don't want 22 strength and 1 through fire, right? Say I don't like that stat. We can re-roll it, 10% critical strength multiplier, I don't like it, re-roll it again. Now we just got spell damage and mana. So as you can see, we went from strength to spell damage and mana. Now that's really cool. So say you wanted a really specific type. Say you were looking for min-maxing 100% of the way and you wanted perfect stats. You could roll 40 of them until you get exactly what you want. So that's something really cool about them. Also, when you run endgame content, which I'll go into in other videos, and say you roll something you don't like on your map that you're going to run, you can use alterations to just completely alter them. Hence the name alteration. So then we're going to go into Glassblowers baubles, which I've never seen anyone trading in currency before, but they have a really, really, really high, they're really good. They're pretty rare drop actually. I don't know why people don't like them. I think they're phenomenal. And the reason why is, for example, I have a Granite Flask, which gives you a boost of 10,000 armor. So an instant burst for 10,000 for normally 4 seconds. But at a 20% quality, it's an extra 0.8 seconds, which is it's not rounded up to 5. It says it's 5 seconds on the buff icon, but it's actually 4.8. They do have it built in like that. So the cool thing is it's basically 20% strong. I mean, you can go down to exact 17%, 18%, but it makes it, as it says, about 20% better. So it's really cool. Now for Diamond Flasks, it would do the same thing. It boosts from 1.5 to 1.8 crit. For even Health and Mana Flasks, it'll boost the amount. So here you can see this heals 100 HP. We're gonna go ahead and boost it by 1%. It went up to 102. Well, that's right. As I told you guys before, when a piece is white, well, this is blue. But remember, I told you if it's white and you try to use an upgrade on it, it'll go higher than it was with yellow because yellow is 1%. This is blue percent, so it'll go even. It goes by 2s. Next thing, now trading becomes really apparent with these Orbs of Scouring. Orbs of Scouring are essentially used to basically, if you have gems that you over-leveled or whatnot and you want to get it down, an Orb of Scouring removes all the properties, so it brings it back to a white, which I don't want to use on this because I really like this flask, so I'll use it on something else. So this is a yellow, right? We're going to go ahead and just break it down, and then bam. Now people, you'd be asking, well, why the hell would I want to do that? For what reason would I ever want to do that to a piece of gear? Well, The reason why is, say you get like an Onyx Amulet, right? An Onyx Amulet is a type of amulet that rolls a base of all stats. So say you roll a perfect one, meaning it's 20 to all stats at the beginning, and you want to keep on rolling it because it has, you want to min-max all the way. You'd basically roll it, and then if it goes good and you don't like it, it's like yellow, you can scour it back and alch it again. And if you get really rare equipments, like at end game from maps, and they're really hard to find, you can just keep on scouring them and reapplying other, which I'll go into, other types of currency to get them. Now, I'm trying to think of another scenario. There's other ones, but I apologize. It's my first video. I can't really think. So, anyway, though, I'll get back to it if I remember another one. The next one is fusing, and this is probably one of like the top 2 to top 3 in popularity. Fusing orbs pretty much make your character. What they do is they allow you to get links in between your gems, and they basically link it up so you could put support gems in. So without the links, the support gem cannot support anything because there's no link. So you get what I mean? So by doing that, these like jeweler orbs are so important, and fusing orbs are so important, and they go hand in hand with jeweler orbs. Jeweler orbs pretty much make the sockets on the gear. So we're gonna go ahead to here. We're just gonna sell this, get it out of the way, and let me show you an example. So we'll take a two-hander, and we'll get out fusing this. Now, there. So the way this works is, as a two-hander, you can roll up to 6 sockets. With a one-hander, you can only roll up to 3. So we're gonna go ahead and roll this a little bit. See if we can get back to 4 of what we had. There, we're at 4. And then you use your fusings and you fuse it. Now these are random. They're entirely random. So just because you have this doesn't mean it's gonna like go connect all of them. It's completely random. But like I said, now you're able to link like a red to a green and then have a blue active or vice versa. So they really bring like a huge impact on your gameplay. The next ones we're going to go into are Chaos Orbs, which also have a Chaos Orb is essentially worth 2 fusings. A Jeweler Orb is essentially 4 Jewelers for 1 fusing. Scourings, I don't really know how to put a price on them because they're kind of weird. Like when someone people don't normally sell them. It's kind of just like one guy wants them, he'll buy a bunch. But scourings, I'd say it's like maybe 2 or 3 scourings for a fusing. That's generally what it's like. Maybe a 1-for-1. I've never seen 1-for-1 though. That seems a little bit high priced. And going back, it's like 10 alterations for 1 fusing, I believe, and maybe 20 trans for 1. So then it gets even higher. Chance orbs also have a very interesting value because not everyone wants them because they don't use them. But I would say they'd be at as well maybe 5 chance orbs for 1 fusing or 10 for 1 fusing. I would say that sounds about right. Now once again, these may be different as you go from default league to hardcore or wherever you may be. The currency is different depending on what you need. So like in hardcore, I'm sure Alchemy Orbs, which we'll go into, have a really high value, which I could be completely wrong, but may have a higher value for rolling higher. You want to get everything to yellow because you're in hardcore. You want to make sure you have the requirements to the resistances, the HP, etc. So Chaos Orbs, basically, when you have an item at a rare, like we had the staff we sold. Let me see. Right here, I'll do something for you. Okay, so we have boots right over here, right? Now on these boots, say you don't like the stats, right? You can chaos it and bam, you can re-roll it. Kind of like an alteration. It's the exact same thing, except now it's for rare equipment. So these have a much higher value than alterations. And they're, like I said, they're a very common form of currency. So say you have a robe, right? Like a 5 link, something pretty rare. I mean, it's not like super rare, but it's pretty rare. So, and you don't want to there's no way in hell in your mind you're going to get rid of this. You basically keep on rolling, re-rolling, and re-rolling stats until you get something good because you've already gotten your 5 link. Then we're going to move on into Blessed Orb, which randomize numeric values of the implicate properties of an item. Now, Blessed Orbs, I've never seen anyone buy them, but basically what it does is, from what I was told, I've never done it, so I'm going to do it with you guys here. It's going to re-roll the base. So this is 14 to all. I'm going to Bless Orb it, and went to 13. I was kind of unlucky. We're going to Bless Orb it again. That went to 17. So I was right. It re-rolls the base, so if you want to try to go for a perfect stat, that's all it does. So that's another thing. I don't know what the ratio is. I would assume it's either 1-on-1 for fusing or maybe 2 fusings for 1 blessed. That's what I would probably assume it's somewhere around there, or even 2 blessed for 1 fusing. Now we're going to go to another really popular form of currency, which is an Alchemy Orb. Once again, this is in the top 3 with like fusings and jewelers, and actually there's like it's like top 5. It's pretty much with chaos, and then another one I'll go into. So Orb of Alchs, basically, some people they call alchemy, but Orbs of Alchemy, however you may say them, basically upgrade a white straight to a rare. So rather by trying to chance it up, this is an automatic guarantee. So like, say you have a white right here and you want to say, fuck you, go to yellow, bam, it goes to yellow. Like, instantly just shoots right to yellow. So that's one really cool thing about it. Now, when it's yellow, of course, that's when the chaos comes in and you'll re-roll and see if you get lucky with them. So now, Alks pretty much are a 1-to-1 with fusing. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come right over here and we're going to go ahead and chromatic this. Now, what a chromatic orb is going to do is a chromatic orb has a value, usually it's like 1 alch to 10 chromatics, or vice versa with other things. So 1 fusing would be 10 chromatics, etc. And we're going to go ahead and click it, and it re-rolls the colors in here. Now, depending on your weapon type, depending on your armor type, you get different types. So, for example, if you're using pure energy shield gear, which is generally blue, it's going to be much harder for you to roll greens and blues or greens and reds, I apologize, opposed to blues. This is also a really high ranked currency. Sorry, highly used. It's used by everyone. Next you have GCPs, Gem Cutters Prism, which are one of the most expensive forms. They go at a ratio of 6 alchs to 1 GCP, Gem Cutters Prism. Sometimes you'll get like 5 to 1, but it's generally 6. And what they do is they improve the quality of a gem by 1%. Each gem has a built-in special effect when you increase the quality. So for Double Strike, you can see at 5%, it has a 2% increased attack speed. So we could assume that roughly it's getting, what, maybe 1% attack speed every 2 to 3%? It's a fair thing to assume. But some have like insane multipliers on them. Like we can go like item quantity, for example. You boost up the quality of the gem to get more drop rate increase. So there's a lot of good investments you can do with them. However, I wouldn't use gem cutters on low tier, like low gems. Only use gem cutters on your gems if they're like 15 to 16 plus quality dropped already, or some other dumbass did it for you. That's my recommendation for you. And they're very rare to find. They're extremely rare. In my case, it took me up to level 72 to find my first one. The next ones are Divine Orbs, which are another really interesting type. I have not seen a lot of people buy them, but I would say their currency, I would say, is maybe 3 to 4 Divine Orbs for 1 Orb of Fusing, and that's because of what they do. Basically, every stat has its own tier. So say like 2 to 4 fire damage falls under the tier of like 1 to 3 and 1 to and like 5 to, you know what I mean? Like it has different sets inside that it can roll, and those would be tiers. So you'd have like 1 to 5, let's say 1 to 5, 2 to 10, 3 to 15, 4 to 20 would be tier 1, right? So say you roll a 1 to 5, you'd use a Divine Orb, and it could re-roll that damage yet again into another one of those tiers, potentially rising it or lowering it. But it'll do it for every stat on your gear. And once again, they're really weird because, like, say you have a really high, like a high numeric value of one in your tier and a really low in your other, you really have to be careful with using them. But you could get really lucky. Like, you could roll into like the top tier and everything low and re-roll and get a high. Next, you have Regal Orbs, which are very interesting because their currency is, once again, is really weird. It's like 2 alchs for a Regal, maybe, or 1 alch for a Regal. What they do is they upgrade a blue straight to a yellow. So they're kind of like the weird gem. They're kind of like the odd one out because you could scour it down and then alch it, or you could just Regal it. And then you have another one that the currency of this item literally changes every single day, and it's called Orb of Regret. And if you read it, which I'm sure you did, you would understand why. It pretty much refunds you a passive point. So, you know what I mean? Like, it gives you back a skill point on your skill tree here. So it pretty much goes in supply and demand. If 1 week, saying something new comes out, people need to re-roll, I mean, there you go. That's where they come in. Then there's 2 more currencies which I haven't went into. or I guess technically three. One of them is an Exalted Orb, which I don't have because I use it on all my gear, and it is essentially an Orb of Augmentation, but for rare gear. And an Exalted Orb is worth 6 Gem Cutters Prisms, which is essentially 36 Orbs of Alchemy. It is a very expensive piece of gear, and you should almost never use it depending on your, because generally with an Exalted Orb, you could buy a piece of gear that's better than what you're trying to exalt. So really save on your exalts to like complete endgame content. Then we're going to go into mirrors. Mirrors supposedly are a form of currency. That's what everyone classifies them as. And what they do is they pretty much they clone an item. They mirror it. The cool thing about a mirror is if you mirror an item, it says item has been mirrored. So it's pretty cool. And that one goes anywhere from 40 GCP to 95 I've seen. And then I don't know if people consider this a currency, but it's called Portal. It's an infinite portal scroll. And this one usually goes anywhere from 5 GCP to like 15. So, yeah, that's pretty much my rundown on it. Like I said, I just wanted to do something short, just a quick rundown on it for you guys. I'll be going into tons of other stuff later on, so I hope you guys liked it. Please give me feedback, constructive criticism, anything you'd like to address. So, once again, thank you so much for watching, and this is for you viewers out there who have been bugging me to do it, because I do need to do it, so thank you so much. And I apologize if it's terrible. So, once again, thanks. I'm going to be producing more, so please leave me feedback. And take care, guys. Thanks so much for watching.